Good evening and welcome to a new edition of To The Point. This evening we'll be discussing the value of the Egyptian pound versus the dollar, an issue which is causing quite a lot of concern. With us this evening is Mr. Tarek Helmi, who is a leading banker. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Pleasure.
With us also this evening is Engineer Mohammed Biali, who is a member of the Freedom and Justice Party's Supreme Council. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, the idea of letting the pound float, if we can put it this way, is causing quite a lot of concern. Before we address the concern, maybe we should address why are we doing this, and why is the central bank, I know it injected today
1.3 billion.
Something like that.
$200 million.
$200 million, and tomorrow I think the
1.5 billion dollars,
which will be injected tomorrow. This strategy is aimed at what?
It's aimed at the Egyptian pound was not at its right price. It was appreciated against the dollar, and it's not the right price for the Egyptian pound. Any currency, when we weigh it or when we fix its rate, we have to look all over our economy. We have a weak economy right now. Okay, our exports dropped, our revenues from the Suez Canal dropped, Egyptian remittances from abroad dropped, so we don't have such strong economy to keep the Egyptian pound at its prevailing price right now.
Yes.
So we have to devaluate the Egyptian pound against the dollar to its genuine and rare price. That's what the governor of the central bank have just done. And even the ex-governor, Mr. Hisham Ramis, he has done it also, I think 1 year ago, when he devaluated the Egyptian pound by 20 piastres, and the day after by another 20 piastres, and he devaluated the Egyptian pound within a week time by 40 piastres. Unless we have a strong economy, we cannot really say that the Egyptian pound should be kept at its price right now, or we should not devaluate the Egyptian pound. First, we have tourism has to come back. Revenues from the Suez Canal has to reach its normal level 2 years ago or 1 year ago, because the drop in the revenues was due to the recession in China and Japan and so on. It wasn't really because of any other issue. The Egyptian remittances from abroad, it happened that most of the remittances was dealt outside Egypt, whether in Dubai or in Cyprus. It didn't come to Egypt because of the huge gap between the official price and the parallel market price, the parallel market or the black market. It's a polite way in saying black or parallel. And so that's why we have to devaluate the Egyptian pound, at least to attract the Egyptian expats abroad to start transferring their money or their foreign currency to their own country again, rather than using the brokers and so on, or doing it through Dubai airport or Cyprus airport.
Engineer Biali, how do you see the strategy?
Well, I see, of course, that the Egyptian pound is not at its right rate against the dollar, and this is something we have to pass by. We have a very weak economy, and they have to do this. The regulations that the central bank has taken, from my point of view, they are considered right regulations, and it has to be fine-tuned somehow, bit by bit, so that it doesn't obstruct the investment, it doesn't obstruct the raw material and the equipment and all the needs of the actual available industries in Egypt. But I think that there are more regulations that has to be taken through the other parties, like the Ministry of Investment, like the Ministry of Finance, like the Customs. All these have to have, all the government, all the cabinet has to have a vision that we has to go for exports, that, like Mr. Tarek said, that we have to get the revenues from the expats, that we have to encourage tourism. All of the ministers has to coordinate between each others for one specific vision they have. But as of now, everybody is living in his own island.
Before this, the devaluation of the pound was taken, we also had an issue with the increase in customs of luxury commodities. The whole purpose is basically to save on hard currency to help the economy. But do you think this will be an incentive to push for less imports and more exports? Since in the past, before January 25th, we had a mafia of importation. Will this kill this mafia?
It's a cartel. I mean, so rather put it cartel than a mafia. So let me tell you something. According to the GATT agreement, we cannot restrict importation. We cannot increase customs as we would like to increase.
Yes.
We can do it temporary, just to pass by a certain crisis.
Yes.
Certain crisis. We cannot keep it for good. So when we put
What's temporary?
6 to 1 year, 6 months to 1 year.
Okay.
That's the maximum we can do.
Which is really will not stop the crisis.
They were trying to do that at least to pass the difficult time we are really in right now. So that's why they have issued such a decree to start putting restrictions on imports on luxurious items.
Yes.
But this is, like I've told you, it's only temporary. So what we need to do is we have to start like we have said right now, we should work as
A team.
A team, exactly. Not in isolated islands. I mean, everyone is working in his own
for his own interest.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to say that, but I mean, we are still waiting for the investment.
Maybe I'm just to the point.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
We are still waiting for the investment law. We heard a lot of fairy tales about investment laws.
Do you think this will be presented by, the government will be presenting a program within a few days, supposedly, to the parliament? Do you think this will work side by side with the parliament, maybe in amending? Because this is the job of the parliament now to
well, the parliament,
look into...
they are in leave right now until the 27th of March. So let's see when they will re-meet again by the 28th or something, and we'll see what would happen afterwards. Anyways, the central bank decrees which took place during the last 2 days, I think it will be followed by another decrees which will consolidate together in order to try to cap inflation, like you have just said, and to try to diminish as much as we can the black market in order for the direct investment to come back to Egypt, because no direct investor will come to Egypt while he cannot repatriate his profit back to his own country.
In his own currency.
In his own currency.
Or in hard currency.
And not to lose on it. I mean, when he first starts getting his investment to Egypt, the dollar was against the Egyptian pound, let's assume £7. When he wants to repatriate in the black market, it reaches £11. So he's losing only in the currency deval, not in the.
Who is controlling the black market? Because there's lots of talk that it's a brotherhood, that they're the ones that are into.
The conspiracy theory, I don't like really to
it's not. We're not talking about conspiracies. As a banker, who is mostly controlling the black?
There is a lot of people. I mean, even in 2003, in the 90s, they weren't really the Muslim Brotherhood, which were they were not that powerful. So there are a cartel of people who are really getting use out of the differences between the black market and the official market, and they're making huge wealth. I mean, it's better than drug dealing, than anything else. So why not? Why not?
Engineer Biali, in your opinion, who's controlling the black market? Or who has most influence in the black market? Let's put it that way.
I will say that it's not only the Muslim Brotherhood, but I go for the conspiracy theory, because it's very clear. They don't want Egypt to pull itself up. It's very clear. Not naming anybody, but everybody knows. The black market, it will stay like this, and there will be black market as long as there is a difference between our needs and what we export or what we sell or our revenues. It will continue. And the problem is that when you devaluate the currency, it has to go parallel with it a very big focus on the needy people. It has to.
Meaning?
Meaning they have to subsidize heavily all the needs of the poor people and the needy people.
Are we not in a phase whereby we're withdrawing the subsidies?
You
The
are
strategy is
withdrawing,
to cut down on subsidy.
but cut on subsidy where? You have to control the subsidy. Not everybody is, now everybody is benefiting out the subsidies that the government is doing. But controlling it and putting it in the right track to serve the needy people, this will help, because as long as the Egyptian pound is devaluating, the prices are going to go high. So,
Isn't there, in your opinion, some kind of methodology or a system or a policy that can be applied to control inflation? Because usually inflation does not match even the rise in the dollar prices. If the dollar prices rises by £1, inflation does not represent the pound. It represents 10 pounds, and when prices go up, they don't go down again. There must be a
In Egypt
strategy.
only.
There must be a way to control, or do you think this is not doable? Realistically
well,
speaking.
Realistically speaking, it's not doable, or it won't be effective. If you want to control by enforcing, this will not do anything.
Why?
It's a market. It's a market. Your market has to be balanced and floating. You have to take the tracks of encouraging investment, encouraging companies that are working, encouraging production, encouraging all this. You have to balance. You are devaluating, the prices are going to go high. And it's going to go higher than the devaluation rate. Everybody will raise his price. And not only this, you are controlling the importation, so every stock in the market for everything, the merchant will say there will not be importation, so let's raise the price. So controlling it, it's very difficult. The only way that to put a plan and clear plan on what are we going to do, what is our vision, we have to suffer for a certain period, but with a plan, with a vision. Suffer in a certain period to reach this place and to achieve our objectives. It has to be done like this, and it has to be done by coordination and teamwork. We cannot see it. It's not going to happen in this government.
Mr. Helmi, one of the sources of our bread and butter was tourism, which right now is ailing, so to speak. This is a sector which Egyptians are subsidizing a lot. Now that we're talking about the devaluation of the pound, should we reduce the subsidy to that sector? Since in reality, even though it is empowering a lot of Egyptians in terms of a workforce, but most of the airliners, the hotel branch chains, they're not Egyptian. So are we going right about subsidizing this sector?
Well, by devaluating the Egyptian pound, we are increasing, prices will go down. Because, I mean, if the dollar
It will go down for the tourists.
Exactly, for the tourists.
Should you still be subsidizing at that rate?
It's not really subsidizing. I'm not subsidizing. I mean, the owners of hotels and so on, they were trying to keep the prices low in order to at least to cover their cost during the difficult the last 5 difficult years. starting from the revolution up till now. So they were trying to keep the prices down in order to attract tourists from...
But they were not really that high before the revolution.
Yes,
I mean,
but
we never marketed Egypt as an expensive
Yes, exactly, because we are getting a certain type of tourists coming from certain countries and so on, so we are attracting a different category, which we have to reduce the prices in order to still attract them. The problem is that tourism to come back, we have, of course, to have security. I mean, we have to solve the Russian airliner problem before we start marketing for tourism again. The problem is that the report or the report for what have happened to the airliner, it didn't come out up till now, so we are still waiting for the report.
There's an investigative committee, not just Egyptian.
I mean, so we are still waiting for the report. So I mean,
yes.
All of these issues still hindering the comeback of tourism. But let me go back to your question about inflation. Inflation should be defined simply by we have a lot of money supply, okay, and a shortage in products. I mean, when I have £100 in my pocket, and the product in the market are only for £50. You have 100, I have 100, and all of us have £300. So, and the products are only for £50. So we'll go all together to buy this product with £50 while we have £300. So the buyer or the seller will increase the price. So the inflation will rise up. Let me tell you something. Before even the devaluation of the Egyptian pound, most of the traders and the producers, they were costing the dollar at £9.5. So the prices will not shoot up as we are expecting. Because if you look at the car dealers, when you go to buy a car, they were pricing the dollar at £9 or £9.5. And all other dealers were doing the same in different sectors. So I don't expect inflation will shoot up as much as we are expecting, because the increase in the prices were only by 14%. I mean, from the last Egyptian pound rate to the new one. So I don't think the inflation will come up that much, yeah. So let's wait and see. And the problem won't be solved by saying that we have to lift restrictions on importation, or we have to do so. We have to restructure our economy, because we have a structural problem. The structural problem that most of our revenues in foreign currency are weak. Until we are capable to start increasing this revenue again, we won't be able to...
You said earlier that this will encourage expats to put money back in Egypt.
Yes.
How do you see this happening? Why?
Because they were selling the dollars abroad to the brokers, because there was a huge difference between the official market rate and the parallel market rate or the black market rate. So people, they were selling the dollars to the brokers, and they were not even remitting it to Egypt. No, they were selling it at the airports. Brokers were going out of Egypt, going to airports with a huge Egyptian pound money. I don't know how they are really getting out this money out of the airports. And then they were buying the foreign currency, giving them the pounds, or with a promise to, with a check to their families in Egypt, to pay them in the Egyptian pound against what they have taken in dollars. So we still have a structural problem. Let me tell you something also about the Egyptian expat remittances. Don't forget that Yemen, Iraq, Libya, they were closed to the Egyptian workers. And most of the remittances coming from those countries were stopped. So we are not really getting the same amount we used to get before the civil war in Yemen or in Iraq or in Libya.
Or in Syria.
Or in Syria, and there were not a lot of Egyptians living in Syria. And so let's be logic. We have to work. We have to start looking into experts, Suez Canal revenues, Egyptian remittances, and all of these issues has to be solved before we can say that we are in a better position than we used to be. Oh, okay, we are taking this decrease, or we are issuing this decrease from the central bank. We are expecting more from the government in order to start the structure correctness or corrective measures, to start the corrective measures. But still, we need time. We have to wait. We have to be patient because economies cannot be solved, or the problem in economies cannot be solved in a day or two. We need time. So let's wait and see.
Engineer Biali, you mentioned a few minutes ago that we need the investment law to encourage investors to come. You are a member of one of the big representative parties in Parliament.
Yes.
Maybe we should be asking you, when will we see the investment law?
We are, in fact, fighting for it. And I'm not speaking about the party, but in fact, we have a big economic program and ideas out of the box that are ready, but we cannot issue the program or present the program to the parliament now until the government presents their program and we see what happens. So yes, investment is very important, and the investment is not going to come until the Egyptian pound is in
Stable position.
is in a stable position, until there is a clear view of what the investment law is going to be. The investor has to hear certain points.
Such as what?
Such as, I don't want overnight taxes to be raised. I don't want overnight energy prices to be changed. I want to be able to transfer my profits. I want to be able to work without problems, without bureaucracy. I want to be able to get in my raw material and my machines and everything through the customs easily. The customs sector is a nightmare to everybody. So all these, the investors want to hear.
What
and
about
want
the
a
investment?
commitment.
What about the investment law? This was issued prior to the summit in Sharm el-Sheikh in March. An amendment to the investment law was issued. What is pressing, in your opinion, as a businessman? What do you think is needed as an urgent legislation to ease the investor?
To issue اللائحة التنفيذية.
Executive.
the اللائحة التنفيذية executive rules or
Executive procedures or whatever.
or the executive procedures or the explanation for the investment law. It's not issued up till now. So when you read the law, there are a list of questions that has to be answered through this. So it's not issued up till now. Since Sharm el-Sheikh summit, we were here with you and we were telling you that the investment law was not issued up till now and it has to be issued, and this was more than 1 year ago. So nobody understands what's delaying them. Nobody. We are...
The Parliament. The Parliament.
Not the Parliament.
Who is supposed to pass this law?
In absence of the Parliament, for 2 years now, the President had the right to issue whatever laws and regulations. And they say he can issue the urgent and critical laws and regulations. And this is nothing more critical than this. So there is no law. There is no law.
No, there is a law, but it's not satisfactory. This is a different...
Not satisfactory. You cannot follow this law without the regulations. You cannot follow it. Because if you look at the law, everybody in the parties concerned to perform these regulations present in the law is going to explain it in a different way. And this is going to give hard time for the investor. It's not clear. You know, the law points general.
It has loopholes which can be misunderstood in application.
In every point there are loopholes. It has to be understood in this application. So it's delayed. Nobody knows. And not only this, you have the tax law, you have the customs regulations, you have the local authorities in charge of the buildings and the equipment, and you have all these are working, as I said, in different ways, in different islands. I can't understand.
Is the parliament supposed to bridge this gap?
The parliament will not be able to bridge this gap because it's a gap of coordination.
It's
of
the legislation.
government.
No, I'm talking about the regulations, those regulations.
Those regulations, it has to be presented to the parliament first.
It's not presented?
We never heard about it. We heard about the law and we have read it. But we never heard about the regulations that will explain the law.
Are they supposed to be presented in the government program?
Not in the program, but the government has to present it directly to the parliament to study it.
Well, it will be presenting the program directly to the parliament. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Will it be, do you think, part of...
It should be. Or when will it be introduced to the parliament? It should be.
You know the problem, no one is explaining why this law is delayed. No one is explaining why. I mean, even the president is pushing for it. He said we should issue this law. And no one is explaining why it's delayed, why it's taking that long.
I'll tell you another story. There was an audit that made audit for the security of the airports after the Russian crisis, okay? And they have put some points. They presented it to the government, to the Ministry of Aviation, and nothing happened. So the businessmen, the owners of the hotels, and the Minister of Tourism, they have presented to the Ministry of Aviation a request that they can finance all the points that came in the audit. And when the Minister of Tourism was asked, why didn't you start? So he said, well, I presented the letter and the request and the solution to the cabinet and to the Minister of Aviation that nobody wants any money from you. We are going to do everything, all the points. Even if you want ladies to make the security check on the women and so on, we will give you 30 and 40 of them. But no answer. And when we asked the Minister of Tourism, he said, we don't know. I presented. I want the tourism to come back, but nobody is taking a decision. It's very strange.
Well, I don't have the insight to that, so I cannot
That's what happened. That's what
comment on this issue, but I don't have an insight to it. All I know is that there was an international committee investigating airport security right before this incident, and it gave us a clean bill of health. So
The British.
this is another issue. Gentlemen, what do you think will be the central bank's policy? I mean, today it injected money, tomorrow it's injected more money. What do you think will be the strategy of the central bank in future?
This is Mr. Tarek's role.
Well, I think, what they have done up till now, I think it's really good. The injection of $200 million today is for importation. The 1.2 billion of tomorrow is not for importation, it's to cover the indebtedness in foreign currency for companies and individuals, which they have indebtedness in banks in foreign currency, and they want to cover it before the prices shoot up again.
So a businessman can walk into a bank tomorrow and get dollars?
Yes, yes, according to the list, according to the priorities. The central bank said that, okay, we have a list of priorities for some products or some goods which has to be imported first before any other luxurious item or any other luxurious product.
Yes.
But now they have lifted the restriction of deposits and withdrawals in foreign currency, whether for individuals or for companies importing essential goods.
British company X, can it transfer its money easily out of the country now?
Not
Because this
easily.
is
They can.
This is a concern by
Yes.
some of the businessmen
If they
here
want
that
to do it through the official channel, it will take some time.
we're not talking about unofficial. The whole purpose of this is to kill the unofficial channel.
No, if they want to do it through banks. Okay, if they go to banks and they want to deposit Egyptian pound and to, in order to repatriate these pounds into their own countries in foreign currency, it will take some time. If they want to buy from the market, they can go and buy from the market and repatriate it to their home country. Okay? Now the good thing is that there is no big difference between the
Black
parallel market and the so they can buy easily from the open market and then repatriate it to their own country.
The transferring of money, because before we had a problem with actually wiring this money.
They have lifted all the restrictions.
I'm a businessman. I took a loan from my bank in London to establish a business, and I have to pay back on this loan. And
this is something else. I mean, there is a lot of money laundering procedures and so on. It's not easily done. I mean, to remit U.S. dollars or any other foreign currency from Egypt to abroad in order to settle your own loan or whatever. If you want to transfer your money, you can do it through, well, if you want to import goods, you can do it through LCs, letters of credit. If you want to transfer for any other thing, for open documents, you cannot even, you can transfer, you can import by even using letters of credit or import documents. You have to prove that you have an import documents to transfer this money abroad.
Forget about the importation. If I set up a factory here, I'm building a factory, and I took a loan from my country to build this factory, and I need to start paying off this loan. Can I transfer my money to pay this loan? Because this was a concern by some of the foreign businessmen, that I want to transfer money back home.
They usually don't borrow from their own country. Most of the manufacturers or the producers or the investors, they borrow from the local
Even
market.
foreign investors?
Yes, they borrow from the local market. They don't borrow from their home country. So I think this is a very rare case. And if it happened, I think if they prove it to the central bank or to the bank that we are really dealing with, it's easy to be done. But most of the borrowers or the investors, or they borrow from Egypt. They don't borrow from abroad.
How will all this affect our deficit?
In terms of?
How will it alleviate our deficit issue? Because we have a hard currency issue, but we also have a deficit issue.
It will. I mean, we were really using the exchange rate of 7.83 against one US dollar. Now we are going to use 9.85 or sorry 8.95 against 7.83. This would increase the deficit because we have a huge deficit in our balance of trade. We are importing by $80 billion. We are exporting by $25 billion. So we have a deficit of $65 billion. All this amount, the deficit will be increased because we are going to use the new rate to be reflected in our budget.
So it will increase our deficit?
Yes, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Because we are an importing country. We have a huge deficit in our
balance of trade. It will not
trade.
reduce importation?
No. Who said so? As long as there is a buyer in the market, importation won't really decrease.
The prices will increase. Will that not reduce?
If you are, the people who are buying luxurious items, it won't really make a difference for them.
We're not talking about luxurious items. We're talking about unnecessary items. I mean, you can have Egyptian feta cheese, and you can have a foreign. I don't want to name the nationality, so that I'm not accused of demarketing for anybody, but you can buy the Egyptian and you can buy the foreign feta cheese. This will be for £10, this will be for 20.
Whatever.
Would it not reduce the consumption of
the people who are used to
foreign
buy
feta cheese?
The other kind of cheese, they will still buy it, whether it's for 10 or 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever.
Do you see it this way?
It won't reduce.
What procedures can be taken right now to reduce our deficit as well, which is a burden on the economy?
We have to wait, like I have said before. Tourism has to increase again, because let me tell you something, I mean, to facilitate this to the viewers. Our balance of trade was always in a deficit. The balance of trade means that import and exports, our import and our exports, was always in deficit. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, it was always in deficit, okay? like I've told you before, we are importing with $80 billion and exporting with $25 billion, so we have a deficit of $65 billion. This deficit was covered by export revenues, tourism revenues, Egyptian repats from abroad, and all this together, I think with some other issues I can't remember right now. Now, as long as we have a huge deficit again in tourism, Suez Canal revenues, Egyptian expats, exports, we will not be able to cover the deficit easily as we have done before the revolution. Because the deficit was covered before by all these foreign currency revenues coming from different sources. Now we are not in the same position. We have tourism has to come back, Egyptian remittances has to come back, Suez Canal revenues has to come back, so we have to wait. We cannot solve such a huge economic problem in a day or so, or in a year or so.
We have a lot of, we have a number of mega projects on the table. The devaluation of the Egyptian pound, how will that affect those mega projects? Such as the Suez Canal, and we're not talking about the canal itself, we're talking about the logistics center, which is what we all have our eye on right now.
I don't think the devaluation is going to affect, because you have done what's needed from the foreign currency. Plus, you are not paying back anybody. You have paid the dredgers, and you have done the Suez Canal, dredged the Suez Canal.
Will it
now
encourage the investor to come?
Of course, yes. Many people are saying, what's the Suez Canal project? It's not the time, we have spent so much money, but this is wrong. Because the project will have on both its sides services. And for any investor that needs to make a factory, for example, he needs to be near ports. So all this area, 160 kilometers, which is the Suez Canal length, it's all ports. So factories are going to be done there. It's easier, it's cost effective, but it's long term. To get the revenues out of this, it's long term. People have to come and invest and build factories and service centers and logistics centers and so on, but it's long term. So the people are concentrating, saying that, what's the Suez Canal? We have paid what we have to pay in dollars. Now we are waiting to receive that money, to investors.
What about in setting up, we're talking about turning the Egyptian culture, or reverting the culture to the way it was, which is Egypt would be an export-oriented country rather than an import-oriented. Now that to export more, you need to produce more. Most of the raw material and the machinery we import, which means we're importing now at a higher price. Will this encourage production, which leads to an increase in exportation, or will it discourage production? Because now it's more expensive to produce.
Yes, I'm with you. You import the machines, the know-how. But still you have lots and lots of resources locally that you have to concentrate on it instead of buying raw material from abroad. Mining. Where is our mining industry?
Where's our textile industry?
Textile. Maybe textile, we import some cotton from abroad and so on. Where is it? The petrochemical industries. Raw material is here. Granite and marble and so on. Chinese take our marble and granite to their ships, and on the ship they cut it, prepare it, and resell it back to us. So there are lots of resources and raw material that is present here in Egypt that we have to concentrate on it. Not every raw material we import from abroad.
Should there be some kind of guidance? Because if I say regulation or something, you're going to say that you can't because it's a free market, so I'm avoiding but some kind of a strategy to even advise businessmen which sector do we need to have investment in?
It's there. We have the advisors and we have the scientists and we have the resources and the information. It's there in the government. It's there. Not in the cabinet, I mean in the different...
So the businessmen know where we need the investment?
Yes. By the way, they don't need our advices.
They know.
They know.
So why don't they do it?
Because we have a lot of problems inside Egypt.
And it's easier to
We
trade
cannot
than...
even issue a labor law.
Hmm?
We are still discussing the labor law 10 years ago. We are still in negotiation. We are still in discussions with the labor
But
union.
this is not the problem for you
it's a problem.
Instead of building a luxurious compound, you would set up a factory for any agricultural product.
but
I mean, but it's easier to build a compound and sell it than to
But
set
you
up
should
a
have the
factory.
laws to facilitate your work. If one of the workers is not working, you cannot fire him. If he embezzled even from your factory, you cannot fire him. I mean, you see the restrictions and the problems we are facing in such a community. I mean, we should reconsider our labor law. We should look at the civil service law.
Which the parliament refuted.
Exactly. I mean,
It was
The
a
Free
very...
Egyptians party refuted.
exactly.
No, we didn't. It was a very good law.
Yes, it is. It
Yes.
is. It is. It is.
Gentlemen, maybe I'll ask you to take your crystal ball out and predictions. Some say within a short span, the dollar can reach 18 pounds.
You want to use your crystal ball first? Okay, go ahead.
I use the crystal ball, and it's a crystal ball. I
18
see it's
pounds.
going to reach now. I see it's going to reach 13 pounds.
13 pounds.
And I've been
when?
saying...
By
and
how
I've-
long? By when?
And I used my crystal ball when it was 7 pounds. Now it's 9 officially, and it's going
13
down.
when?
13, no, not by the end of the year, maybe next year.
It will drop to 8.5 pounds.
It will not go up to 13.
Will drop to 8.5.
When?
By year end.
But this is short term.
No, it will remain at 8.5 for at least 3 coming years.
So there is this.
This is crystal ball.
Quote me on this.
So you think it will shoot up? Will it shoot up more?
Maybe it will reach 10 or 10.5 pounds
He doesn't want to say 13.
during the coming month or so, which I doubt it very much. Because what have happened, like I've told you in 2003, I mean, it was 3.5, the official rate. It shooted up to 8 pounds, and then it dropped back again to 5 pounds when we administratively float the Egyptian pound. By the way, it's not a free floating, it's administrative floating, and will continue in the administrative floating of the Egyptian pound.
So you think it will go up to maybe 10
Maximum 10 pounds or 10.5 pounds.
within the next
Within
few
a
months?
very short period, very short span. I mean, within 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks maximum, because the black market cartel, they want to fight back. So this would be their way to fight back.
They will increase the price of that.
They would try to absorb the dollar from the market, to attract the dollar from the market by trying to increase the prices and to attract the Egyptian expats revenues from abroad for a very short period of time. And then after a while it will stabilize at 9 pounds or whatever, 8.95, and I think by year end it will drop to 8.5 pounds.
Can you delegalize the black market? I mean, we're talking about black, it's an illegal market. Why is it allowed?
It's allowed because, I mean, like drugs.
Drugs are not allowed. If you're caught dealing in drugs, you're imprisoned.
But you're not, we cannot stop drug dealing. It's this.
But it's illegal.
And
it's being cracked down
the black
on.
market is illegal, and they are cracking down on people. But the problem is it's done through some official channels. I don't want to say who is doing that, but it's done through official channels, so really the government cannot really put hands on them. So the drugs...
But let's not say official, because when you say official channels, people think it's the government.
No, not the government, of course. I mean, they won't fight them heads.
Hefty wage channels. But when you say official here, they're going to say, well, we're talking about the government.
No,
it's not official governmental channels, let's put it that way.
Exactly.
Influential channels.
Yes, let's say so.
Okay,
Yeah.
influential channels. Is there a way to regulate the black market, in your opinion?
No. They are traders. The Egyptian pound and the dollar is a product. They will go where they are going to benefit out of the product itself. You cannot regulate it. It has to be stabilized. Politically, between the central bank and the black market, the traders, and the cabinet. It has to go, everything has to go in parallel. We have to have a vision. But you cannot control it. It's trade. As long as people needs the dollars, that's it. And let me tell you, because the dollar is rising and the Egyptian pound is devaluating, even the people, the individuals, they want to buy dollars to keep it. My daughter is asking me for an equivalent of $100 because she heard that the dollar is going up. So, even for the
So this will
individuals,
make even more demand on the dollar that way.
that's why I'm telling you 13, but the crystal ball of the
No.
bankers is better.
People used to use the dollar as a store of value, okay? They were not really putting their money in CDs, certificate of deposits or whatever, because they were keeping it in dollars as a store of value. Now by having the new CDs of 15% for people who has transferred their foreign currency savings into Egyptian pound, they will be paid 15% on their CDs or deposits. The euro and the dollar CDs
Have nothing. You get nothing on them.
No, you will get now 4.5% and 5%. This is the new decrease by the Central Bank of Egypt. And the same applies, like I've told you.
So after they removed,
No. People who are living abroad can have 3.5, 4.5, 5.5% on their euro deposits or US dollar deposits, providing they transfer to Egypt. And these rates, of course, are,
but if you're putting your money in dollars in a bank here in Egypt as an Egyptian living here, you don't get any interest.
No,
on it.
not.
No, but
If you want-
This is to encourage.
Exactly. If you want to transfer it
Expats.
into Egyptian pounds,
Sir.
you'll get 15% on it. So.
How is this going to affect the stock market? Because any changes in economic policy, they always cause some kind of a fluctuation, and the stock market is really a mirror to
Well,
our economy.
if you look at the appendices of the stock market during the last week, it's shooting up. I mean, the EGX 50 or 70 or whatever, because I'm not interested really that much in the stock market, so it reaches around 7,000 point, coming up from 6,200 point. Any kind of regulations or decrees stabilizing somehow one of the major difficulties in the Egyptian market, it will affect positively the stock market. That's why the new regulations issued by the central bank or the government, it was reflected positively on the stock market.
Gentlemen, before we wrap up, maybe another question that raises itself. Why is it that anywhere in the world, when the value of the dollar, for example, goes up, the value of the gold goes down, except here? What is the theory that when it shoots up, everything shoots up? Why is it that we don't follow international norms in inflation of gold versus dollar and vice versa?
Because we are still using the dollar as a store of value, not the gold. We keep the dollar as a store of value. Because we know that after a while, it will reach 10, 15, not 13, 18, 20, and so on. Okay? So we are using the dollar as a store of value, not the gold.
Okay.
Because, excuse me, dollars are always increasing. Gold is coming up and going down. But the dollars, no.
Mr. Tarek Helmi said at the end of the year 8.5. Engineer Mohammed Biali said early next year, which is really at the end of this year, almost 13. And we'll see who
Can we
wins.
put our bets? So
Gentlemen, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
fruitful
Thank you very much.
input. And the road is tough, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And this is what
Inshallah.
counts. The fact that Egypt is fabric of the society is still intact, this in itself
To always survive.
is a blessing, regardless of any hardships. I'd like to thank you, the viewers. Wish you a very pleasant evening, and we'll see you same time next week. Until then, good night.